You wake to the faint howl of wind rattling the wooden shutters of your small lodge, the pre-dawn air seeping through the gaps cold as a blade. You're a hunter in the village of Thornwick, a weathered hamlet crouched in the shadow of the Blackmoor, a forest thick with secrets and whispered curses. Your name is Rowan, and the scent of pine and damp straw fills your nose as you stir on your palate, the coarse wool blanket scratching your skin. It's no noble's bed, but it's kept you through countless nights, and the fire's embers in the hearth still hold a faint glow, warding off the morning's bite. Outside, a raven croaks, its call sharp and solitary, like a warning you've learned to heed. You rise, your joints stiff from yesterday's hunt, and stretch, the floorboards groaning under your weight. The lodge is simple, one room with a rough-hewn table, a stool, and a rack for your bow and traps. A bundle of dried sage hangs above the door, tied with twine, a ward your mother swore by to keep witches at bay. You're not sure you believe in such things, but you've seen enough in the Blackmoor to keep the sage where it is. You stoke the fire, coaxing it back with a handful of kindling, and the flames flicker, casting shadows on the walls where your father's old hunting knife hangs, its blade nicked but sharp. You pull on your leather jerkin, worn soft from years of use, and lace your boots, the soles crusted with the Blackmoor's mud. There's no time to linger. The traps you set yesterday need checking, and the village relies on your game to fill its pots. You grab a hunk of barley bread from the table, its crust hard but filling, and chew as you step outside. The air is sharp, laced with frost and the tang of burning wood from Thornwick's chimneys. The village is waking. Smoke curls from roofs, a dog barks, and the distant clang of the blacksmith's hammer echoes through the mist. Somewhere a child hums, the sound fleeting in the morning's hush. Thornwick sits in a shallow vale, its stone and timber houses huddled against the Blackmoor's edge, their thatched roofs slick with dew. Beyond them, fields of rye and barley stretch, their edges fraying into the forest's dark embrace. The Blackmoor is vast, its trees gnarled and ancient, whispered to be the haunt of witches, crones who weave curses in the shadows, their eyes like embers. You've heard the tales since you were a boy, stories of folk lost in the woods, of strange lights and voices that lure the unwary. You've never seen a witch, but you've felt the forest's weight, its silence heavier than it should be, and you've learned to trust your instincts when the Blackmoor calls. You sling your bow over your shoulder, its string taut, and grab a quiver of arrows, their fletchings worn but true. Your traps are set along the forest's edge, where deer and hares roam, though lately the game's been scarce, and whispers of curses have grown louder in the village. You head out, the path to the Blackmoor rutted and slick, your boots crunching on frost. The forest looms ahead, its trees a dark wall, and you keep your eyes on the ground, watching for tracks or signs of game. The village fades behind you, its sounds swallowed by the Blackmoor's hush, and you feel it. The forest's gaze, quiet but watchful, like a predator sizing you up. You reach the first trap, a snare hidden in the underbrush, and kneel to check it. It's empty, the twine undisturbed, but you notice something odd. A faint mark in the dirt, not a hoof or paw, but a shape, like a hand with too many fingers pressed into the earth. Your skin prickles and you glance at the trees, their branches still, the air thick. You tell yourself it's nothing, a trick of the frost, but your hand rests on the knife at your belt, its handle worn smooth from years of use. You move to the next trap, deeper into the forest's shadow, the mark lingering in your mind like a splinter. The second trap is empty too, but the third holds a hare, its fur matted, its eyes wide with fear. You free it quickly, snapping its neck with practiced ease, and tie it to your belt, the weight a small victory. But as you reset the snare, you hear it. A sound, faint but wrong, like a whisper carried on the wind, not words, but a hum, low and unsettling. It comes from deeper in the Blackmoor, where the trees grow thick and the light fails. You freeze, your bow in hand, and scan the forest. Nothing moves, but the whisper comes again, sharper, like a voice testing your name. You stand, your heart steady but quick, and knock an arrow. The bows creak loud in the silence. The Blackmoor is still, no birds, no rustle of leaves, just the whisper, now fading as if retreating. You lower the bow, your breath visible in the cold, and try to shake it off. You're a hunter, not a fool chasing ghost stories, but the mark in the dirt, the whisper, they're not nothing. You gather your traps, the hair swinging at your belt, and head back to Thornwick, the forest's gaze heavy on your back. The village's roofs come into view, a faint comfort, but deep down, the Blackmoor's not done with you yet. You step back into Thornwick, the village square stirring with the slow pulse of morning. The hair at your belt swings with each step, a small triumph, but the whisper from the Blackmoor clings to you, sharp and unsettling, like a thorn under your skin. The rune stone's weight is absent this time. No glowing wards or ancient bindings here, but the memory of that strange, too long handprint in the dirt and the hum that seemed to know your name, Rowan, keeps your hand close to the knife at your belt. The air is crisp, the frost melting under the rising sun, and the village's thatched roofs glisten, their chimneys trailing thin threads of smoke. Thornwick feels like home, but the Blackmoor's shadow looms, its edge a dark line you can't ignore. You head toward the square, needing the grounding hum of voices, the clatter of daily life to shake off the forest's grip. Folk are out now, women hauling water from the well, men driving carts loaded with firewood, children darting between them, their laughter muted by the morning's chill. The blacksmith's hammer rings, steady as a heartbeat, and the scent of fresh bread wafts from the baker's hut, mingling with the tang of burning oak. You catch nods from a few villagers, their eyes lingering on the hair, but there's a tension in their glances. A quick flick toward the Blackmoor, as if they feel its weight too. You make for the tavern, a low stone building with a sagging roof, where Elspeth, the keeper, serves ale and gossip in equal measure. The door creaks as you push inside, the warmth hitting you like a wave, thick with the scent of barley and wood smoke. The room is half full, farmers hunched over mugs, a peddler in a patched cloak bartering with a trapper, their voices low but steady. Elspeth's behind the counter, her gray hair braided tight, her hands deft as she pours ale from a clay jug. She spots you and slides a mug your way, her eyes sharp despite her years. "Rowan," she says, her voice rough but warm. "Back from the Blackmoor already? You look like you've heard something you shouldn't." You settle onto a stool, the hair thumping against your thigh, and take a sip, the ale's bitterness grounding you. "Might have," you mutter, setting a copper on the counter. "Traps were mostly empty, but I caught a hare. Found a mark, though. Odd, like a hand, but wrong. And a sound like a whisper deep in the trees." Elspeth's eyes narrow, her hands pausing on the jug. "Whisper, you say?" She leans closer, her voice dropping. "You're not the first. Old Gwendeth swore she heard voices by the stream last week, calling her name. And the baker's boy says his dog won't go near the forest no more. Whines and hides under the table." She glances at the door, as if expecting the Blackmoor to listen. "Folk are saying it's witches, Rowan, stirring in the woods, weaving curses. You know the tales." You grunt, tearing a piece of bread from the loaf she sets before you, its crust warm and chewy. "Tales are just tales," you say, but the words feel thin. You've heard the stories. Witches brewing potions from bones, casting hexes that sour milk or blight crops, luring folk into the Blackmoor to never return. You're a hunter, practical, grounded in tracks and snares, but that handprint, that whisper, they're not tracks you know. "Anyone seen anything real?" you ask, your voice low. Elspeth shrugs, wiping her hands on her apron. "Not yet, but folk are scared. The Reeve's talking about a hunt, rounding up anyone who's been too close to the forest. Says we need to root out any witch taint before it spreads." She pauses, her eyes searching your face. "You're out there more than most, Rowan. Mind yourself. Fear makes folk foolish." You nod, the ale heavy in your gut, and finish the bread, Elspeth's warning settling like damp wood. The tavern's hum is comforting, but the Blackmoor's whisper lingers, and you can't shake the feeling that it's not done with you. You toss another copper on the counter and head out. The square busier now, folk moving with purpose but casting wary glances at the forest. You decide to check your lodge, maybe clean the hair and sharpen your arrows, anything to keep your hands busy and your mind clear. The path to your lodge is short, winding past the baker's hut and the weaver's yard where a woman eyes you warily, her spindle pausing as you pass. Your lodge sits at the village's edge, closer to the Blackmoor than most, its stone walls sturdy, its roof patched but sound. You push inside, the familiar creak of the door a small comfort, and set the hare on the table, its fur still warm. You light the fire, the flames flaring, and begin skinning the hare, your knife moving with practiced ease, the blade gliding through fur and flesh. The work is rote, calming, but your eyes keep drifting to the shutters, half expecting to see something peering through. As you work, you hear a knock, sharp, insistent. You pause, knife in hand, and listen. Another knock, followed by a voice, low and gruff. "Rowan, it's Cedric." You relax, recognizing the Reeves voice, but tension lingers. Cedric doesn't visit unless there's trouble. You wipe your hands on a rag and open the door, the cold air rushing in. Cedric stands there, a burly man with a graying beard, his cloak heavy with dew, his eyes hard but tired. Behind him is Tilda, the village herbalist, her shawl tight, her face pale and watchful. "Need to talk," Cedric says, stepping inside without waiting. Tilda follows, her eyes darting to the sage above your door, then to the hare on the table. You bar the door, the latch clicking, and gesture to the stool, but they stand, the air thick with unspoken words. "What's this about?" you ask, your voice steady, though your hand rests near the knife. Cedric rubs his beard, his eyes searching your face. "Trouble's brewing, Rowan. Folk are scared, game's scarce, crops are failing, and now there's talk of whispers in the Blackmoor. They're saying it's witches, and they're looking for someone to blame." He pauses, glancing at Tilda, who shifts, her hands clutching her shawl. "You're out there more than anyone, hunting, trapping. Folk are starting to talk, saying you might have seen something or worse." Your stomach twists, Elspeth's warning ringing true. "I hunt to feed the village," you say, your voice sharp. "I found a mark, heard a whisper, same as others." "Doesn't make me a witch." Tilda speaks, her voice soft but firm. "We know, Rowan, but fear's a fire and it's burning hot. The Reeves planning a hunt to search the Blackmoor, root out any hexes. They want you to lead it, since you know the forest best." She hesitates, her eyes meeting yours. "But there's danger in it. If they find nothing, they'll turn on you. If they find something, it might be worse." You lean back, the fire's glow flickering, the hare's blood staining the table. "And if I refuse?" you ask, though you know the answer. Cedric's jaw tightens. "They'll think you're hiding something. You're too close to the Blackmoor, Rowan. Folk already whisper about your lodge, your hunts. Leading the hunt might clear your name, or..." He trails off, the unspoken threat heavy. You nod, the weight of their words settling. "You're a hunter, not a witch, but Thornwick's fear is a beast of its own, and the Blackmoor's secrets are stirring it." "When?" you ask, your voice low. "Tomorrow at dawn," Cedric says. "Bring your bow, your knife. We'll have men, torches, maybe a priest to bless the way. Tilda'll come for her herbs in case we find anything." He pauses, his eyes softening. "Watch yourself, Rowan. The forest's not kind, and neither are scared folk." They leave, the door creaking shut, and you bar it, the lodge suddenly smaller, the fire's warmth fleeting. You finish skinning the hare, your knife moving mechanically, but your mind is on the Blackmoor. The handprint, the whisper, the tales of witches. You clean your arrows, sharpen your knife, and check your bow, the string taut and true. The sage above the door sways in the draft, its scent sharp, and you wonder if it's enough to keep the Blackmoor's secrets at bay. You sit, staring into the fire, the night stretching long, and know deep in your bones that tomorrow's hunt will change everything. You sit by the fire, the hare's clean carcass on the table, its blood staining the wood, the knife gleaming in the flickering light. The lodge is quiet, save for the fire's soft crackle and the faint moan of wind outside, rattling the shutters like restless spirits. Cedric's words, Tilda's warning, and the Blackmoor's whisper weave a tight knot in your gut, Rowan, and the sage above the door feels like a flimsy ward against the fear creeping into Thornwick. You're a hunter, not a witch, but the village's suspicion is a blade at your back, and tomorrow's hunt into the Blackmoor looms like a storm you can't outrun. The bow rests against the wall, its string taut, your arrows sharpened, but the weight of the forest's secrets presses heavier than any weapon. You rise restless and pace the small lodge, your boots scuffing the floorboards. The night is deep now, the village silent beyond your walls, but sleep feels far off, chased away by the memory of that handprint. Too many fingers pressed into the dirt, and the whisper that seemed to know your name. You check the shutters, tugging each one to ensure they're fast, and glance at the sage, its scent sharp but fading. Your mother's tales echo, witches weaving hexes in the Blackmoor, their voices luring folk to doom, but you've always trusted tracks over stories. Now, you're not so sure. You settle back by the fire, pulling a whetstone from the chest and running it along your knife's edge, the rasp a steady rhythm to calm your nerves. The blade's already sharp, but the work grounds you, each pass a small act of control in a world slipping toward chaos. You think of the hunt at dawn, Cedric's men, Tilda's herbs, the priest's muttered blessings, and wonder what you'll find in the Blackmoor. Nothing, and the village's fear might turn on you, branding you tainted. Something, and it could be worse. A witch, a curse, or something older, darker that the tales only hint at. A sound breaks your focus, a soft scratch, not at the door, but at the shutter nearest the forest. You freeze, knife in hand, and listen, your heart quick but steady. The scratch comes again, deliberate, like nails on wood, and you stand, moving silent as a shadow to the shutter. You peer through a narrow gap, the night black beyond, the Blackmoor's trees a faint outline. Nothing moves, no glint of eyes or flicker of light, but the air feels thick, charged, like the forest is holding its breath. You wait, the knife's handle warm in your grip, but the sound doesn't return. Only the wind's low hum, carrying the faint scent of pine and something sharper, like rot. You step back, checking the door's bar. It's iron solid, but somehow inadequate. The fire's glow is a small comfort, but the lodge feels exposed, too close to the Blackmoor's edge. You sit, the whetstone forgotten, and pull the sage bundle down, its leaves brittle in your hands. You toss a pinch into the fire, the flames flaring green, the scent sharp and cleansing. It's an old habit, one you half believe, and tonight you need every ward you can muster. You clean the table, wrapping the hare's meat in cloth to barter tomorrow, and check your quiver. Each arrow's fletching true, the points keen. The night stretches, the fire burning low, and you decide to rest, though sleep feels like a risk. You climb onto your pallet, the straw crunching beneath you, and pull the blanket tight, the knife within reach, the bow propped nearby. The sage's scent lingers, mingling with the smoke, and you try to focus on the hunt, tracks, snares, the forest's familiar paths. But the whisper haunts you, its hum a thread that won't break. You close your eyes, the fire's glow fading, and hear it again. Not a scratch this time, but a faint hum, low and distant from the Blackmoor's heart. It's not words, but it feels like a call, and you know, deep in your bones, it's waiting for you. Dawn comes too soon, the light gray and thin through the shutters, the air cold enough to sting. You rise, your body stiff, and stoke the fire, the flames a small defiance against the morning's chill. You pull on your jerkin, lace your boots, and sling your bow over your shoulder, the quiver heavy at your hip. The knife goes at your belt, its weight a constant anchor, and you tuck the wrapped hair under your arm, a gift for the hunt's start. You step outside, the village stirring, its roof slick with frost, the Blackmoor a dark smear against the sky. The square is alive with men, Cedric's rough crew, armed with axes and torches, their faces grim. Tilda's there, her herb pouch bulging, her eyes meeting yours with a nod. A priest, Father Alric, stands by the well, his robes tattered, muttering blessings over a vial of holy water. Cedric spots you and waves you over, his voice gruff. Rowan, you're leading. You know the Blackmoor better than us. We're looking for signs, tracks, marks, anything that smells of witch work. Stay sharp, and don't let the men spook. He pauses, his eyes hard. And watch your back. Fear's got 'em twitchy. You nod, the hair handed to Tilda, who tucks it away with a murmured thanks. The men eye you, some with respect, others with suspicion, their whispers low but sharp. Father Alric sprinkles water on your bow, his prayers a drone, and you feel the village's weight. It's fear, it's hope, settling on your shoulders. You lead the way, the path to the Blackmoor familiar, the frost crunching under your boots. The forest looms, its trees silent, and you feel it again, that gaze, watchful, waiting. You knock an arrow, the bow steady, and step into the Blackmoor, the men behind you, their torches flaring. The whisper's gone, but the handprint's memory lingers, and you know, deep in your bones, the hunt's only begun. The Blackmoor swallows you, Rowan, its trees closing in like a cage, their gnarled branches weaving a canopy that dims the dawn to a sickly gray. The air is heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth, pine, and that sharp metallic tang that sets your nerves on edge, like the aftermath of a slaughter. Your boots sink into the mossy floor, each step a muffled crunch, and the bow in your hands feels alive, its string taut, an arrow nocked and ready. The knife at your belt is a cold anchor, its handle worn smooth by years of hunts, but the Blackmoor's weight presses against you, its silence louder than any beast you've tracked. Behind you, Cedric's men follow, their torches casting flickering shadows, their breaths uneven, their axes and spears clinking softly. Tilda's at your side, her herb pouch rustling, her eyes darting to the trees, while Father Alric trails, his prayers a low murmur, the vial of holy water glinting in his trembling hands. The forest watches, its gaze a prickling on your neck, and you know deep in your bones that this hunt is no ordinary trek. You lead, your eyes scanning the ground for tracks, the same paths you've walked countless times, but today they feel wrong. The moss too slick, the roots too twisted, as if the Blackmoor is reshaping itself. The handprint you saw yesterday, too many fingers pressed into the dirt, haunts you, and the whisper, that low hum that seemed to test your name, echoes in your mind. You pause at the first trap you checked yesterday, the snare still empty, but the handprint's gone, the earth smoothed over as if the forest erased it. You kneel, your fingers brushing the dirt, and find it cold, unnaturally so, like the chill of a grave. Tilda crouches beside you, her breath visible, her eyes narrowing. "It's been touched," she whispers, her voice barely carrying. "Not by wind or rain. Something's hiding its mark." You nod, your jaw tight, and rise, gesturing for the men to stay close. Their torches flare, the light swallowed by the trees, and their faces are pale, their eyes wide, some clutching charms or muttering prayers of their own. Cedric's voice cuts through, low and gruff. "Keep moving, Rowan. We're here for answers, not shadows." But you hear the strain in his tone, the fear he's trying to bury, and you know he feels it too. The Blackmoor's will, pressing, testing, waiting. You push deeper, the path narrowing, the trees leaning closer, their bark etched with patterns that might be natural or something older, carved by hands long gone. The air grows colder, the metallic scent sharper, and you spot a track, not a deer or hare, but a faint smear, like something dragged through the moss, leading toward a cluster of ancient oaks. You signal the men to halt, your bow raised, and move forward. Tilda at your side, her hand on her pouch, her lips moving in a silent ward. The smear ends at the oaks, where the ground is churned, the moss torn, and you see it. A circle of stones, small and weathered, half buried in the earth, each one marked with a symbol, not quite a rune, but close, their lines sharp and unsettling. You step closer, your heart steady but quick, and kneel, brushing dirt from one stone. It's cold, like the handprint's earth, and you feel a hum, faint but real, vibrating through your fingers, matching the whisper you heard yesterday. Tilda's breath catches, and she pulls a sprig of vervain from her pouch, crushing it in her hand, the scent sharp and cleansing. "This is no hunter's mark," she says, her voice low. "It's a ward, or a binding. Something's been here, Rowan. Something that doesn't want to be found." The men murmur, their torches wavering, and Father Ulrich steps forward, his prayers louder now, his vial raised. "Witchwork," he mutters, sprinkling water on the stones, the droplets hissing as they hit. "The devil's hand is in this, mark my words." His voice trembles, and you see fear in his eyes. Not just for the forest, but for you, the hunter who led them here. Cedric's hand tightens on his axe, his eyes on you, searching, and you feel the village's suspicion, a blade hovering closer. You stand, your bow steady, and scan the trees. The Blackmoor is silent. No birds, no wind, just the hum, now louder, coming from deeper in the forest where the oaks give way to a shadowed hollow. You point, your voice low. There. That's where it's coming from. Cedric nods, but the men hesitate, their faces pale, some clutching their weapons like lifelines. Tilda meets your gaze, her nod firm, and you lead, the hollow drawing you like a hook in your chest. The path to the hollow is steep, the ground slick with frost and roots, and the trees grow denser, their branches scraping your jerkin, their shadows swallowing the torch's light. The hum grows, not a whisper now, but a pulse, vibrating in the air, and you feel it in your bones, a call that's both threat and lure. You pause at the hollow's edge, a shallow basin ringed by twisted trees, their roots exposed like claws. At its center is a pool, its water black and still, reflecting no light, and above it a faint glow, not green but gray, like moonlight trapped in mist, pulsing softly, matching the hum. You knock an arrow. The bows creak loud and step into the hollow, the men fanning out behind you, their torches dimming as if the Blackmoor's draining their light. Tilda's at your side, her vervain clutched tight, her eyes on the pool. Father Ulrich's prayers falter, his vial empty, his face ashen. The glow pulses faster, and you see shapes in the mist, faint, fleeting, like figures moving just out of sight, their forms too long, too thin, their eyes glinting like embers. Your skin prickles, the knife at your belt a cold comfort, and you feel the Blackmoor's will, not just watching but knowing you, its hum curling around your name. You stop at the pool's edge, the water still, its surface like glass, and the glow hovers above, its pulse a heartbeat. You see your reflection, but it's wrong. Your eyes too bright, your face too sharp, like the forest's reshaping you. Tilda whispers, her voice urgent. Don't look too long, Rowan. It's a mirror, not just water. It shows what the Blackmoor wants you to see. You tear your gaze away, the hum louder, and notice the men, their faces pale, some stepping back, their weapons shaking. Cedric's voice is sharp. Rowan, what is it? What do you see? You shake your head, the bow steady, and point to the glow. That's the source, you say, your voice rough. The hum, the marks, it's coming from there. You step closer, the ground soft, the air thick, and the glow pulses once, brightly, then dims, revealing a shape in the pool, not a reflection but a presence, formless yet alive, its edges writhing like smoke. The men gasp, some dropping their torches, and Father Ulrich shouts, his voice breaking. Witch! It's a witch's curse! He lunges forward, his empty vial raised, and the glow flares, the hum a scream, knocking him back, his body crumpling in the moss. You fire, the arrow loosing with a twang, but it passes through the glow, sinking into the pool with a hiss. The presence surges, its formless mass rising, and you feel its will, not hunger but rage, a force that's been disturbed, not summoned. Tilda grabs your arm, her vervain scattered, her voice fierce. It's no witch, Rowan, it's older, tied to the forest. We've stirred it. She pulls you back, the men retreating, their torches flaring as they stumble. But the presence doesn't follow, its form sinking back into the pool, the glow dimming, the hum fading to a whisper. You stand, your bow lowered, your heart pounding, the knife in your hand now, its blade glinting. The hollow is quiet, the trees still, but the Blackmoor's gaze lingers, its will softened but not gone. Cedric's men are shaken, some helping Father Ulrich, his face bruised but alive, his prayers silent. Tilda's eyes meet yours, her face pale but resolute. We can't fight that, she says, her voice low. Not with arrows or prayers. But it knows you, Rowan. You felt it. You nod. The whispers echo in your mind. The presence's rage a weight you can't shake. We need to leave, you say, your voice steady despite the fear. Regroup. Figure out what it is. Cedric agrees, his voice hoarse, and you lead the men out. The hollow's glow fading behind you, the Blackmoor's paths clearer now, as if allowing you to retreat. The village's roofs come into view, a faint promise. But the presence's touch clings, and you know, deep in your bones, The Blackmoor's secrets are far from done with you. You emerge from the Blackmoor, the village square of Thornwick glowing faintly in the midday light. Its thatched roofs a stark contrast to the forest's oppressive gloom. The air feels lighter here, laced with wood smoke and the faint sweetness of baking bread. But the weight of the hollow's presence clings to you, Rowan. Its formless rage and that pulsing gray glow burned into your mind. Your bow is slung over your shoulder, the quiver lighter by one arrow, and the knife at your belt is a steady anchor, though its blade feels inadequate against what you faced. The men stumble behind you, their torches nearly spent, their faces pale and drawn, some muttering prayers, others silent, their eyes darting back to the forest. Tilda walks close, her herb pouch clutched tight, her vervain gone, scattered in the hollow's chaos. Father Alric leans on Cedric, his robes torn, his face bruised, his vial lost, his prayers replaced by a haunted stare. The Blackmoor's hum is gone, but its gaze lingers, a shadow on your skin, and you know, deep in your bones, that you've only stirred something far older than witches. The square is busier now, folk pausing their work, hauling water, mending nets, chasing children, to stare as you return. Their eyes are wide, some with hope, others with fear, and whispers ripple through the crowd, words like witch and curse sharp in the air. You lead the men to the well where Cedric calls for water, his voice rough but commanding, and the villagers gather, their faces a mix of curiosity and dread. Elspeth pushes through, her braid loose, her apron dusted with flour, and her eyes lock onto yours, searching. "Rowan," she says, her voice low. "What happened?" "You look like you've seen the devil himself." You take a ladle of water, its cold bite grounding you, and drink. The squares hum a faint comfort against the Blackmoor's echo. "Not the devil," you say, your voice hoarse, "but something." "A glow! A presence in a hollow by a black pool. Not a witch, older, angrier. It pushed back when we got close." You glance at Tilda, who nods, her face grim, and at Father Alric, who shudders, his hands trembling. Cedric steps forward, his axe still in hand, his beard flecked with moss. "Rowan's right," he says, addressing the crowd, his voice carrying. "We found something in the Blackmoor, something not human. It's no witch, but it's real, and it's awake. We need to know what it is before it comes for us." His words spark murmurs, some folk clutching charms, others stepping back, their eyes on you, the hunter who led the hunt. Tilda speaks, her voice soft but firm, cutting through the noise. "It's tied to the forest, older than the tales. The stones we found, the pool, they're part of something bound, something we've stirred. Rowan felt it most, but it's not just him. The Blackmoor's watching us all." She pauses, her eyes meeting yours, a silent urging to stay sharp. The crowd shifts, their fear palpable, and a woman, Gwendeth, the one who heard voices by the stream, steps forward, her shawl tight, her voice shrill. "It's a curse! The forest's hexed, and she points at you, her finger trembling. "He's been in there too long. He's brought it back." Her words ignite the crowd, voices rising, some nodding, others shouting, and you feel the village's suspicion tighten, a noose around your neck. Cedric raises a hand, his voice sharp. "Enough! Rowan led us, risked his life. He's no witch, and we've no proof of curses. We need answers, not blame." But his eyes flick to you, a warning to watch your step, and you know the crowd's fear is a fire that could burn you yet. Elspeth pulls you aside, her grip firm, her voice low. "You need to lie low, Rowan. They're scared, and scared folk turn on what's closest. Go to your lodge, stay out of sight till this cools." She hands you a small loaf, still warm, and you nod, the bread's weight a small comfort. You head to your lodge, the path familiar but heavy, the village's eyes on your back. The Blackmoor looms to your left, its trees still, but you feel its gaze, softer now, but waiting. Your lodge welcomes you, the doors creak a faint anchor, and you bar it, the fire's embers glowing in the hearth. You stoke the flames, the warmth pushing back the chill, and set the loaf on the table, its crust cracking as you break it. You eat slowly, the bread's warmth filling the hollow in your gut, but your mind is on the hollow, the pool, the glow, the presence that knew you. You pull the sage bundle down, tossing another pinch into the fire, its green flare sharp, a ward you cling to despite your doubts. You clean your bow, checking the string, and sharpen your knife. The whetstones rasp a steady rhythm. The arrows need fletching, so you work, your hands moving mechanically, but your eyes keep drifting to the shutters, the door, half expecting that hum to return. The village's fear, Gwendith's accusation, Cedric's warning, they're as real as the Blackmoor's presence, and you know you're caught between them, a hunter marked by both forest and folk. You think of Tilda's words, something bound, stirred by your hunt, and wonder if the Blackmoor's secrets are older than witches, older than Thornwick itself. A knock startles you, soft but urgent, and you grip the knife, moving to the door. "Who's there?" you call, your voice low, your bow within reach. "It's Tilda," comes the reply, her voice steady but hushed. You unbar the door, the cold air rushing in, and she slips inside, her shawl tight, a small bundle in her hands. You bar the door again, the lodge feeling smaller, the fire's glow flickering on her face. She sets the bundle on the table, a pouch of herbs, a vial of oil, a charm of braided thorns. "For protection," she says, her eyes meeting yours. "The village is restless, Rowan. They're planning another hunt, but some want to burn the forest. Others want to burn you." Your stomach twists, the bread heavy now. "I'm no witch," you say, your voice rough. "I felt it, Tilda, same as you." "It's not me they should fear." She nods, her face grim. "I know, but fear's blind. That pool, those stones, they're part of something ancient, a binding or a prison. The glow, the hum, it's waking and you're tied to it, whether you want to be or not." She pauses, opening the pouch, the scent of rosemary and rue sharp. "These'll help. Sprinkle the herbs on your threshold, anoint your knife with the oil, wear the charm. They won't stop it, but they'll keep your mind clear." You take the bundle, the thorns pricking your palm, and nod, the weight of her words settling. "What do we do?" you ask, your voice low. "Another hunt won't stop it. It's not something we can kill." Tilda's eyes darken, her voice barely a whisper. "We need to know what it is. The priest's useless, and Cedric's men are scared. I've got old texts passed from my gran about the Blackmoor's bindings. I'll read tonight, see what I can find. You stay here, bar the door, and don't open it unless it's me or Cedric." She pauses, her hand on your arm. "You're the best hunter we've got, Rowan. If anyone can face this, it's you." She leaves, the door creaking shut, and you bar it, the lodge silent save for the fire's pop. You sprinkle the herbs, as she said, their scent sharp, and anoint your knife, the oil slick on the blade. The thorn charm goes around your neck, its prick a reminder to stay sharp. You sit, the fire low, and stare at the sage, the herbs, the knife, the bow. The Blackmoor's out there, its presence waiting, and Thornwick's fear is a fire at your door. You climb onto your pallet, the straw crunching, the blanket heavy, and try to rest, the charm's thorns against your chest. The night is long, the hum a faint echo, and you know, deep in your bones, that the Blackmoor's call is only growing stronger. You wake to the faint creak of your lodge's shutters, the dawn's pale light seeping through, cold and gray as a blade's edge. The air is sharp, heavy with the scent of ash and the rosemary rue mix you sprinkled on the threshold last night. Your palate is stiff, the straw poking through the blanket, and sleep was a fleeting guest, chased by dreams of the Blackmoor's hollow. That black pool, the pulsing gray glow, the formless presence that surged with rage. The thorn charm around your neck pricks your skin, a small sting grounding you, and the knife at your bedside gleams in the dim light, its oiled blade catching the fire's embers. You're Rowan, hunter of Thornwick, and the Blackmoor's call lingers, a hum in your bones, while the village's fear tightens like a snare around you. You rise, your breath visible in the chill, and stoke the fire, the flames flaring with a comforting crackle. The lodge is quiet, its stone walls solid but too close to the forest's edge, and the sage above the door sways faintly, its scent a thin ward against the Blackmoor's secrets. You pull on your jerkin, its leather creaking, and lace your boots, the mud caked on them, a map of your hunts. There's no food, just a sip of water from the bucket. its mineral tang sharp on your tongue. You try to plan the day, stay low as Elspeth urged, maybe check the traps, but Tilda's words, the village's suspicion, and the memory of that presence in the hollow crowd your thoughts, making the ordinary feel like a lie. You glance at the barred door, the thorn charm heavy against your chest, the knife now at your belt, its oil-slick blade a quiet promise. The Blackmoor's hum is silent, but its gaze feels closer, seeping through the lodge's walls. And Tilda's warning, something ancient, a binding or a prison, echoes, urging you to act. You can't hide forever, not with the village whispering your name, not with the Blackmoor waiting. You need answers, and Tilda's texts, her knowledge of the old ways, are your best hope. You grab your cloak, its wool heavy with dew, and check the bow, its string taut, the quiver full. The herb pouch and thorn charm go into your jerkin, their weight a small shield, and you unbar the door, the hinges groaning as you step into the morning. Thornwick is hushed, its roofs glistening with frost, the square half empty, folk moving with quick, nervous steps. The Blackmoor looms to the west, its trees still, but you feel its watch, a prickle on your neck. You head for Tilda's cottage, a small, ivy-clad hut near the weaver's yard, avoiding the square where Cedric's men might gather, their eyes sharp with suspicion. The path is slick, your boots crunching, and you pass a woman. Gwendith, the one who accused you, her gaze cold, her hand making a sign against evil as you pass. You ignore her, your jaw tight, and reach Tilda's door, its wood carved with faint symbols, not unlike the stones in the hollow. You knock, soft but firm, and Tilda opens the door, her shawl loose, her face pale, shadows under her eyes. "Rowan," she says, her voice low, ushering you inside. The cottage is warm, thick with the scent of herbs, lavender, thyme, and something bitter like wormwood. Shelves line the walls, crammed with jars, dried bundles, and old books, their leather bindings cracked. A fire burns low, a kettle steaming, and a table holds an open text, its pages yellowed, scribbled with symbols that echo the Blackmoor's stones. "I've been reading," she says, closing the door, her eyes meeting yours. "You're early. Trouble?" You nod, settling onto a stool, the thorn charm pricking through your jerkin. "Village is restless," you say, your voice rough. "Gwendith's stirring folk, saying I'm tainted. Cedric's men are watching me. I can't stay low forever, Tilda. What did you find?" She sits, her hands trembling slightly, and pushes the text toward you, its pages marked with ink and wax. "This is my Gran's, from her Gran before her," she says, her voice steady but urgent. "It speaks of the Blackmoor, long before Thornwick was built." The forest wasn't always cursed. It was a place of power, guarded by binders, folk who wove wards to hold something in the earth. Not a witch, but a force, a will that feeds on fear and blood. They called it the Shade, and they bound it with stones like the ones we saw, sealed with rituals we've forgotten. She pauses, her eyes darkening. "The binding's weakening, Rowan. Our hunt stirred it, and it's reaching out through the pool, the glow, the hum." Your stomach twists, the hollow's presence vivid in your mind. "Reaching for what?" you ask, your hand on the knife, the charm's thorns sharp. Tilda leans closer, her voice a whisper. "For someone to free it or fight it? You felt it, didn't you? It knows you, Rowan, because you're out there hunting, walking its paths. The Shade's not blind, it chooses who it calls." She points to the text, a drawing of a stone circle, a pool at its center, symbols pulsing with faded ink. "The stones, the pool, they're the binding's heart. If we break it, the Shade's free. If we strengthen it, it might sleep again. But it'll take more than herbs or prayers." You swallow, the fire's warmth fleeting, the text's symbols searing into your mind. "How do we strengthen it?" you ask, dreading the answer. Tilda's face tightens, her hands folding the book shut. "Blood and will. The binders used both. Blood to seal the stones, will to hold the Shade. We'd need a ritual, and someone to lead it, someone the Shade's marked." Her eyes meet yours, heavy with meaning. "That's you, Rowan. You're the hunter, the one it calls." You shake your head, stepping back, the knife's handle cold. "I'm no binder, Tilda. I track game, not spirits. There's got to be another way. Cedric, the priest, someone." She stands, her voice firm. There isn't. Father Alric's broken. Cedric's a leader, not a mystic. I can help with herbs, with words, but you're the one the Blackmoor sees. You felt it in the hollow, saw it in the pool. You can't run from this, Rowan, not with the village burning for answers. She pauses, softening. I'll be with you, and we'll need Cedric's men, maybe Elspeth's strength, but it's your will that'll bind it. A knock interrupts, sharp and heavy, and you both freeze, your hand on the knife. Tilda! Cedric's voice, gruff, urgent. You nod, and she opens the door. Cedric filling the frame, his axe at his side, his face grim. Rowan, he says, his eyes narrowing but not hostile. Folk are gathering, demanding action. Gwendith's got them riled, saying the Blackmoor's cursed because of you. I've held them off, but they want another hunt tonight with fire to burn the forest's heart. Your heart stumbles. The village's fear a blade at your throat. Burning won't stop it, you say, glancing at Tilda. It's older than fire, tied to stones, a pool. We need a ritual, not torches. Cedric's jaw works, his eyes flicking to the text. You sound like her, he says, nodding at Tilda. But folk won't listen to rituals. They want blood, Rowan. Yours or something else's. If you've got a plan, speak now or they'll come for you by dusk. Tilda steps forward, her voice steady. We've got a plan, Cedric. A ritual to bind what's waking. Rowan leads, I guide, but we need men, strong ones, to hold the circle, keep the village safe. She pauses, her eyes on you. We do it tonight before the mob burns more than the Blackmoor. Cedric nods, slow, his face weary but resolute. I'll get men, ones I trust. Elspeth'll help. She's got sway. Meet us at the square, dusk. Bring what you need, Rowan, and pray your ritual works. He leaves, the door creaking shut, and Tilda turns to you, her hands already gathering herbs, a small blade, a vial of ink. Prepare yourself, she says, her voice low. The Blackmoor's waiting, and so's the shade. You're the hunter, Rowan, and tonight you hunt something older than game. She hands you a pouch, more vervain, a shard of flint, a candle stub. Light this in the hollow, keep it burning. It'll anchor you. You take the pouch, the thorn charm pricking, and nod. The lodge's fire a faint shield against the coming night. You head back, the village tense, eyes following you, whispers sharp. You bar your door, stoke the fire, and check your bow, your knife, the charm, the herbs. The Blackmoor's out there, its hum a faint pulse, and Thornwick's fear is a fire at your heels. You sit, the candle stub in hand, and know deep in your bones that tonight's hunt will test everything you are. You sit in your lodge, the fire's glow casting long shadows across the stone walls. The candle stub Tilda gave you resting on the table, its wax soft from your grip. The thorn charm pricks your chest, the vervain pouch heavy in your jerkin, and the knife at your belt gleams, its oiled blade a quiet vow. Outside, Thornwick hums with restless energy, the village's fear a palpable force. Its whispers of witches and curses growing louder as dusk approaches. The Blackmoor looms beyond your door, its trees silent but watchful. And the memory of the hollow's presence, that formless rage, the pulsing gray glow, clings to you, Rowan, like damp wool. You're a hunter, not a binder, but Tilda's words, Cedric's trust, and the shade's call have marked you. And tonight you'll face the forest's heart, or be consumed by it. You rise, checking your bow, its string taut, the quiver full, each arrow's point sharp enough to pierce bone. The flint shard Tilda gave you goes into your pocket, its edge cold, and you tuck the candle into your jerkin, its weight a small anchor. The herbs, vervain, rosemary, rue, fill the air with their sharp scent, and you sprinkle another pinch on the threshold, the sage above the door swaying as you move. You pull on your cloak, its wool heavy, and step outside. The air cold and thick with the promise of frost. The village is alive. Lanterns flickering in windows. Folk gathering in the square. Their voices low but edged with panic. You feel their eyes, some wary, others accusing, and keep your head down. The path to the square familiar but heavy under your boots. The square is crowded. Cedric's men, 10 strong, armed with axes, spears, and torches, standing in a loose circle, their faces grim. Elspeth is there, her braid tight, her hands on her hips, her voice sharp as she calms a group of women, Gwendith among them, her eyes blazing with fear. Tilda stands by Cedric, her herb pouch bulging, a small blade at her belt, her face pale but resolute. Father Alric is absent, his courage broken in the hollow, and in his place is a young acolyte, Brother Torin, his robes clean but his hands trembling as he clutches a prayer book. The crowd parts as you approach, their whispers sharp. Witch, hunter, cursed, and you feel the village's fear, a tide that could drown you. Cedric steps forward, his axe resting on his shoulder, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "Rowan's here," he says, his eyes meeting yours, steady but urgent. "He's leading the ritual, with Tilda's guidance. We're not burning the Blackmoor. We're binding what's waking, saving Thornwick. You men, hold the circle. Keep the forest at bay. The rest of you, stay back. Pray if you must, but don't interfere." His words quiet the crowd, but Gwendeth's glare burns, and you know one wrong move could spark the mob. Tilda joins you, her voice low. "We go to the hollow, to the pool. Light the candle, set it by the stones. I'll chant the words from the text. You offer the blood, your blood, Rowan, to seal the binding. The shade'll fight, but your will's the key." She hands you a small vial, its contents dark. Ink mixed with ash, she says, to mark the stones. "Stay focused, no matter what it shows you." You nod, the thorn charm pricking, the candle heavy in your jerkin, and lead the way, the men falling in behind, their torches flaring, Tilda and Brother Torin at your side. The Blackmoor's edge is close, its trees a dark wall, and you feel its gaze, not rage now, but anticipation, as if it knows what's coming. You knock an arrow, the bow steady, and step into the forest, the path to the hollow familiar but twisted, the moss slicker, the roots sharper. The men's torches cast jagged shadows, their breaths uneven, and Tilda's chants begin soft and rhythmic, her blade glinting as she cuts vervain to scatter on the path. The forest is silent, no hum, no whisper, but its weight presses. The air thick with that metallic tang, stronger now, like blood pooling in the earth. You reach the oak cluster, the stone circle still there, its symbols pulsing faintly, and you pause, checking for tracks. The ground is churned, the moss torn, and you see it. A new mark, not a hand but a claw. Too large for any beast you know, scratched into a stone. Tilda's chant falters, her eyes meeting yours, and Brother Torin's prayers quicken, his voice cracking. Cedric's men tighten their grip on their weapons, their torches wavering, and you gesture to move on. The hollows pull stronger. The pools glow, a faint promise in the distance. The path descends, the trees denser, their branches scraping your cloak, their shadows swallowing the light. The hum returns, low and steady, vibrating in your chest, and you feel the shade's presence, not surging but waiting, its will a tide testing your resolve. You reach the hollow. The black pool still, its surface like obsidian. The gray glow hovering above, pulsing slow, its light casting shapes, figures, eyes, fleeting and wrong. You signal the men to form a circle around the hollow, their torches high and they obey, their faces pale, some muttering charms. Tilda kneels by a stone, her blade cutting her palm, blood dripping to mark the symbols, her chants louder, words you don't know but feel, heavy with power. You light the candle, the flint sparking, the flame small but steady, and set it by the pool, its glow a defiance against the Blackmoor's dark. You pull the vial of ink ash, marking the stones as Tilda instructs, the symbols flaring under your touch, and draw your knife, its blade gleaming. You cut your palm, the pain sharp, blood welling, and let it drip onto the stones, the ground trembling, the hum rising to a low scream. The glow pulses faster, the pool rippling, and the shade surges, a formless mass rising, its rage a storm in your mind, showing you Thornwick burning, your lodge ash, your name cursed. You stagger, the candle's flame wavering, but Tilda's chant holds you, her voice a lifeline, and you grip the thorn charm, its prick clearing the fog. "Hold fast, Rowan!" she shouts, her blood mixing with yours, the stones glowing brighter. The men shout, their torches flaring, some swinging axes at shadows that writhe at the circle's edge, and Brother Torin's prayers falter, his book falling as he clutches across. You push your will, a hunter's stubborn heart, forged in years of tracking, surviving, and the stones pulse, their symbols sealing, the pool's ripples slowing, the shades scream fading. The ground steadies, the glow dims. The hum softens to a whisper, and the shade sinks, its formless mass bound once more, the stone's light steady, the pool still. You slump, your palm bleeding, the candle burning low, its flame unwavering. Tilda's chants stop, her face pale, her hand gripping yours, and the men lower their weapons, their breaths ragged, their eyes wide. Cedric steps forward, his axe lowered, his face a mix of awe and relief. "It's done," he says, his voice hoarse. "You held it, Rowan." You nod, the thorn charm heavy, the knife slick with blood and rise, the hollow quiet, the Blackmoor's gaze softened, though not gone. You lead the men out, Tilda supporting Brother Torin, the path clearer, the trees less oppressive. Thornwick's roofs glow in the moonlight, the square alive with folk, their faces shifting from fear to hope as you return. Elspeth's there, her smile fierce, and Gwendith silent, her accusations stilled. You stand, the village's strength holding you, and know, deep in your bones, that the Blackmoor's bound, but its whisper remains, a call you'll carry always. You walk the path to your traps, the hare's warm weight tied to your belt, its fur brushing your thigh with each step. The dawn is crisp, the frost crunching under your boots, and Thornwick's roofs glow faintly behind you, their chimneys trailing thin wisps of smoke. The Blackmoor stands at the village's edge, its trees still, their branches no longer scraping with menace, but holding a quiet watch, as if acknowledging the binding you sealed in the hollow. The thorn charm around your neck pricks gently, a steady reminder of the shade's rage and the blood you spilled to hold it. Your bow is slung over your shoulder, the knife at your belt a familiar friend, and the vervain pouch in your jerkin rustles softly, its scent a faint ward against the forest's lingering secrets. You're Rowan, hunter of Thornwick, and though the Blackmoor's hum is silent, its presence is a weight you carry, a pact forged in the hollow's dark. The path is familiar, the ruts and roots known to your boots, but you move with care, your eyes scanning for tracks, deer, hare, or something less natural. The handprint you saw days ago, with its too many fingers, is gone, but its memory sharpens your senses, and you pause at each trap, checking the snares with practiced hands. The first is empty, the twine undisturbed, but the second holds a small fox, its fur red and sleek, its eyes wide but lifeless. You free it, snapping its neck cleanly, and tie it beside the hare. The added weight a small victory, a sign the Blackmoor's game is returning. You reset the snare, your fingers deft, and glance at the forest's edge, its trees standing like sentinels, their silence less oppressive but no less deep. You move deeper, the path narrowing, the Blackmoor's canopy dimming the light, and feel a shift, not a hum, but a stillness, as if the forest is holding its breath. You pause, your hand on the knife, and scan the underbrush, the moss, the roots. There's no mark, no whisper, but the air is thick, laced with that metallic tang, fainter now, but unmistakable. You kneel, brushing a patch of moss, and find a faint scratch, not a claw, but a line, deliberate, like a symbol half-formed, etched into a root. Your skin prickles, the thorn charm pricking harder, and you stand, knocking an arrow, the bows creak loud in the quiet. The Blackmoor watches, its gaze soft but present, and you know the shade's binding holds, but something else stirs, a ripple from the forest depths. You decide to return, the fox and hare enough for now, and head back, the path clearer, the village's hum growing louder. Thornwick is awake, the square bustling with morning work. Women at the well, men hauling wood, children chasing a stray dog. You catch nods from folk, their eyes warmer now, the fear of the Blackmoor softened by your return from the hollow. Elspeth waves from the tavern door, her braid swinging, and you nod back, the hare and fox a promise to barter later. You reach your lodge, the doors creak welcoming, and step inside, the fire's embers glowing, the sage above the door swaying faintly. You set the game on the table, its fur still warm, and stoke the fire, the flames flaring with a comforting warmth. You begin skinning the hare, your knife moving with ease, the blade gliding through flesh, the work grounding you after the forest's subtle unease. The fox comes next, its pelt finer, and you save it, knowing the weaver will pay well for its sheen. The lodge is quiet, The fires crackle, mingling with the distant hum of the village, and you feel a moment's peace, the Blackmoor's weight lifting, if only slightly. You clean the table, wrapping the meat in cloth, and sharpen your knife. The whetstones rasp a steady rhythm, your hands steady despite the morning's ripple. A knock breaks the silence, soft but deliberate, and you pause, knife in hand, your senses sharp. "Rowan?" Tilda's voice calm but edged with purpose. You rise, unbarring the door, and she steps inside, her shawl tight, a leather-bound book under her arm, its pages yellowed and worn. You bar the door again, the lodge warm but small, the fire's glow flickering on her face, etched with new lines of worry. "I've been reading more," she says, setting the book on the table, its symbols echoing the stones in the hollow. The binding held, but there's something else, Rowan. The shade's not alone. You sit, the thorn charm heavy, and gesture to the stool, your voice low. "What do you mean, not alone? We bound it, Tilda. The stones, the blood, it worked?" She nods, opening the book, her fingers tracing a passage inked in faded black. "It did for the shade, but the Blackmoor's older, deeper. The binders, the ones who sealed the shade, they wrote of others, lesser forces, bound with it, tied to the forest's roots. Not as strong, but cunning, like echoes of the shade's will." She points to a drawing, a tree with symbols carved into its bark, a faint glow at its base. "These forces, they're waking too, stirred by our ritual, by your blood." That mark you found, the hum, it's them, testing the edges, looking for a way out. Your stomach twists, the scratch on the root vivid in your mind. "What are they?" you ask, the knife's handle cold under your fingers. "Witches? Spirits?" Tilda shakes her head, her eyes dark. "Neither and both. They're fragments, pieces of the Blackmoor's power, shaped by its will. They don't hunger like the shade, but they trick, they lure, they twist. The handprint, the whispers, they're signs, Rowan, and you're the one they see because you face the shade." She pauses, closing the book, her voice softening. "We need to watch, to ward the forest's edge, or they'll slip through into Thornwick." You lean back, the fire's warmth fleeting, the thorn charm pricking. "How do we ward them?" you ask, dreading the answer. Tilda pulls a small pouch from her shawl, its contents clinking softly, stones etched with symbols, smaller than the hollows but similar. "These," she says, spilling them onto the table, their surfaces glinting. "Wards, like the binders used. We place them at the Blackmoor's edge, near your traps, the stream, the paths. They won't bind like the hollow stones, but they'll warn us, glow if the forces stir." She meets your eyes, her voice firm. "You're the hunter, Rowan. You know the paths. Help me set them, and we'll keep the village safe." You nod, the stones cold in your hand, their symbols pulsing faintly like the Blackmoor's heartbeat. "When?" you ask, your voice steady despite the weight. "Tomorrow, at first light," Tilda says. "I'll bring Cedric, Elspeth, a few others we trust. We'll work quiet, avoid the mob. Gwendeth's still stirring trouble, but Cedric's holding her back." She pauses, her hand on your arm. "You're not alone, Rowan. The village knows what you did. We'll stand with you." She leaves, the door creaking shut, and you bar it, the lodge silent save for the fire's pop. You place the ward stones on the table, their symbols glinting, and sit, the thorn charm heavy, the knife gleaming. You think of the Blackmoor, the pool, the glow, the scratch on the root, and know the shade's bound, but its echoes are waking, and you're their mark. You climb onto your pallet, the straw crunching, the blanket warm, and pull the charm close, its thorns a quiet vow. The fire dims, the night deep, and sleep comes slow, the Blackmoor's gaze a faint whisper, but you know, deep in your bones, that you're Thornwick's hunter, and tomorrow you'll face the forest shadows once more. You wake to the faint rustle of the sage bundle above your door, stirred by a draft that carries the chill of pre-dawn. The lodge is dim, the fire's embers barely glowing, and the air smells of vervain and the lingering warmth of last night's flames. Your palate creaks as you sit up, the thorn charm around your neck pricking your skin, a sharp reminder of the Blackmoor's echoes and the ward stones Tilda left on your table. Their etched symbols glint faintly, even in the gloom, pulsing with a quiet warning. You're Rowan, hunter of Thornwick, And the forest's gaze, though softened by the shade's binding, is still there, a weight in your bones, whispering of lesser forces stirring in its depths. The village sleeps beyond your walls, but its fear lingers, a shadow you can't outrun. You rise, your breath visible in the cold, and stoke the fire, coaxing the embers into flame with a handful of kindling. The lodge warms, the light casting shadows that dance across the ward stones, their symbols seeming to shift, like eyes half open. You pull on your jerkin, its leather worn but sturdy, and lace your boots, the mud a testament to your hunts. The knife goes at your belt, its blade gleaming from last night's sharpening, and you sling your bow over your shoulder, the quiver heavy with arrows. The thorn charm rests against your chest, the vervain pouch tucked into your jerkin, and you gather the ward stones, their cold weight filling a small sack. You grab a crust of bread from the table, its staleness no matter, and chew as you unbar the door, the hinges groaning softly. The air outside is sharp, laced with frost and pine, and Thornwick's roofs are silvered with dew, the Blackmoor a dark silhouette against the rising light. You head to the square, the ward stones clinking in the sack, your steps quiet on the frost-slick path. The village is stirring. A few early risers, bakers, woodcutters, moving with hushed purpose, their eyes flicking to the forest, their hands clutching charms or tools. You feel their glances, softer now after the Hollow's ritual, but Gwendith's accusations still linger, a spark that could reignite the mob. The square is empty save for Tilda waiting by the well, her shawl tight, a lantern at her feet casting a warm glow. Cedric's there, his axe slung across his back, his graying beard damp with dew, and Elspeth stands beside him, her arms crossed, her face set with determination. Two men, Bryn, a burly farmer, and Lorne, a lean trapper, flank them, their faces grim but steady, their hands gripping spears and a coil of rope. Tilda spots you, her eyes sharp despite the shadows beneath them, and nods. "Rowan," she says, her voice low, "you've got the stones?" You lift the sack, its weight a quiet vow, and she gestures to a small bundle at her feet. More herbs, a vial of oil, a flint knife. "We'll set the wards at the Blackmoor's edge, near the paths you hunt, the stream, the old oak grove. They'll warn us if the echoes stir." She pauses, glancing at the forest, its trees still in the dawn's hush. "Stay sharp. The shade's bound, but these forces are sly, and they know you." Cedric steps forward, his voice gruff. "We move quiet, set the stones, and get out. No heroics, Rowan. The village is watching, and Gwendith's still muttering. We do this clean. We keep the peace." He claps your shoulder, his grip heavy but reassuring, and Elspeth nods, her eyes meeting yours with a fierce trust that steadies you. You lead the way, the path to the Blackmoor familiar, the frost crunching under your boots, the ward stones heavy in the sack. Tilda walks beside you, her lantern swaying, her flint knife at her belt, while Cedric, Elspeth, Bryn, and Lorne follow, their steps cautious, their spears gleaming faintly. The forest's edge looms, its trees a dark wall, and you feel its gaze, not the shade's rage, but a subtler watch, like a predator circling. You pause at the first path, where your traps begin, and kneel, pulling a ward stone from the sack. Its symbol pulses, faint but alive, and you press it into the earth near a snare, the moss soft under your fingers. Tilda sprinkles vervain around it, her voice soft with a chant, the words old and heavy, and the stone settles, its glow dimming but steady. You move to the next spot, by the stream where Gwendith heard voices, its water gurgling softly, the banks slick with frost. You place another stone, its symbol flaring briefly, and Tilda anoints it with oil, her chant unbroken, the air thickening with the scent of rosemary and rue. Bryn and Lorne stand guard, their spears raised, their eyes scanning the trees, while Cedric paces, his axe ready, and Elspeth watches the path back, her hand on a short blade at her hip. The Blackmoor is quiet, no hum, no whispers, but the metallic tang is there, faint and sharp, and you feel a ripple, not a surge, but a brush, like a shadow passing just out of sight. The third stone goes by the oak grove, where the handprint marked the earth, and you pause, checking for new signs. The moss is untouched, but you find another scratch, smaller, on a root, its lines sharp, like a claw testing the forest's edge. Your skin prickles, the thorn charm pricking, and you glance at Tilda, who nods, her chant faltering. "It's them," she whispers, her eyes on the scratch. The echoes probing. "The stones will hold them, but they're awake." You press the stone into the earth, its symbol glowing, and Tilda scatters herbs, her voice steadying, the ward settling like a lock clicking shut. You place the final stones along lesser paths, each one sinking into the moss, their symbols pulsing. Tilda's chants weaving a net around the black moor's edge. The forest watches, its gaze soft but unyielding, and you feel the echoes, not surging but circling, their presence a faint hum in your mind, testing the wards, testing you. The last stone goes near your lodge, its glow faint but firm, and you stand, the sack empty, your palms still throbbing from the hollow's cut. Tilda finishes her chant, her face pale, her hands trembling, and Cedric nods, his voice low. "It's done. Let's go." You lead the way back, the path clearer, the village's hum growing louder, but the Blackmoor's ripple lingers, a whisper that knows your name. The square is busier now, folk pausing to watch, their eyes softer, the ward stone's quiet power easing their fear. Elspeth claps your shoulder, her grin fierce. "Good work, Rowan. The forest's quieter already." Tilda nods, her eyes meeting yours, a silent promise to watch the wards, and Cedric gestures for the men to disperse, their spears lowered, their faces lighter. You head to your lodge, the doors creak a welcome and stoke the fire, the flames warm against the morning's chill. You set the thorn charm on the table, its thorns glinting, and clean your knife, the blade shining, the vervain pouch a steady weight. The Blackmoor's out there, its echoes bound by the wards, but you know they're watching, waiting for a crack in the stone's light. You sit, the fires glow soft, and feel Thornwick's strength, Elspeth's fire, Tilda's wisdom, Cedric's trust, holding you up. You climb onto your pallet, the straw crunching, the blanket heavy, and sleep comes slow. The Blackmoor's hum a faint echo, but you know, deep in your bones, you're Rowan, hunter of Thornwick. And the forest shadows will call again, and you'll be ready. You wake to the soft creak of your lodge's floorboards, the morning light filtering through the shutters, pale and clean, as if the Blackmoor's shadow is lifted, if only for a moment. The air is cool, scented with the faint vervain still dusting your threshold and the sage above the door, its leaves brittle but steadfast. Your pallet is warm, the blanket heavy, and the thorn charm around your neck rests lightly now, its pricks softened by the night's rest. The ward stones placed along the Blackmoor's edge hum faintly in your mind, their symbols a quiet barrier against the forest's echoes. You're Rowan, hunter of Thornwick, and though the shade is bound and its lesser forces warded, the Blackmoor's gaze lingers, a gentle weight, a pact you've sealed with blood and will. The village stirs beyond your walls, its rhythm steady, its fear tempered by the ward's light, and you feel deep in your bones that this dawn marks a turning. A chance to hunt as you always have, with Thornwick at your back. You rise, stretching, the ache in your palm from the hollow's cut, now a dull throb, a scar forming under the crusted blood. You stoke the fire, the embers flaring into flame, and pull on your jerkin, its leather creaking, the vervain pouch still tucked inside. Your boots, mud-caked but sturdy, lace tight, and you grab your bow, its string taut, the quiver heavy with arrows. The knife at your belt gleams, its blade cleaned but marked by the ritual's blood, a hunter's tool turned ward. You chew a crust of bread, its staleness softened by the fire's warmth, and step outside. The doors creak, a familiar welcome. The air is crisp, the frost melting under the rising sun, and Thornwick's roofs glow, their chimneys trailing smoke, the village alive with the hum of morning, carts rumbling, children laughing, the blacksmith's hammer ringing steady. You head to the square, the path bright, the Blackmoor's edge a dark line but no longer menacing, its trees standing like old guardians, their watch softened by the ward stone's glow. Folk nod as you pass, their eyes warm, the whispers of witch and curse replaced by murmurs of thanks, their fear eased by the forest's quiet. Elspeth stands at the tavern door, her braid loose, her smile fierce as she waves you over. "Rowan," she says, handing you a fresh loaf, its crust warm and cracking. "You've brought the game back, haven't you? The market's buzzing. Hares, foxes, even a deer yesterday. The Blackmoor's giving again." You take the loaf, its warmth grounding you, and nod, the hare and fox from yesterday a small triumph. "The wards are holding," you say, your voice steady, the thorn charm a quiet weight. The forest still for now. Tilda joins you, her shawl light today, her face less pale, her herb pouch still at her belt. "The stones are strong," she says, her eyes meeting yours, a spark of pride in them. "I checked at dawn. None have dimmed, and the stream's clear, no whispers. The echoes are bound, Rowan, thanks to you." She pauses, glancing at the Blackmoor, her voice softening. "But keep the charm, the herbs. The forest's old, and its secrets don't sleep forever." Cedric approaches, his axe now a tool for wood, not war, his grin wide under his graying beard. "You've done it, Rowan," he says, clapping your shoulder, his grip lighter but firm. "The village is eating, sleeping, living again. Gwendith's quiet. Shamed, I'd say, after your ritual. You're Thornwick's hunter, and we won't forget it." He gestures to the square where folk barter meat, bread, and wool, their voices bright. The fear of the Blackmoor a fading shadow. A young boy, Lorne's son, a trapper's apprentice, runs up, his face flushed, holding a small snare, its twine new. "Rowan," he says, his voice eager. "Caught a hare this morning near your traps. Will you check my knots?" You smile, the first in days, and nod, ruffling his hair, the village's hope a warmth that fills the hollow left by the shade's rage. You head to the tavern with Elspeth, Tilda, and Cedric, the square's bustle a steady backdrop. Inside, the fire roars, the scent of ale and bread thick, and Elspeth slides mugs across the counter, her laugh loud as she toasts. "To Rowan, hunter of the Blackmoor, who faced the dark and brought us light." The crowd, farmers, weavers, even the baker's boy, raises mugs, their cheers a tide that lifts you and you drink, the ale's bitterness sharp but sweet, the thorn charm a quiet vow against your chest. The day unfolds, Thornwick alive with work and life. You check your traps, finding another hare, its fur soft, and reset the snares. The Blackmoor's paths clear, its moss untouched by new scratches or marks. You hunt deeper, tracking a deer's prints, your bow steady. The forest's silence now a comfort, its gaze a partner, not a threat. You return with the deer, its weight heavy but earned, and barter it in the square. The village's thanks a steady hum, bread from Elspeth, a new quiver from Lorne, a woven scarf from the weaver, her eyes no longer wary. Evening falls, and you head to your lodge, the doors creak a homecoming, the fire's glow waiting. You stoke it, the flames warm, and clean your knife, its blade shining, the vervain pouch on the table, its scent mingling with the sage above the door. The thorn charm rests beside it, its thorns glinting, a relic of the hollow's trial. And you feel the ward stones hum, faint but steady, guarding the Blackmoor's edge. You sit, the fire's light soft, and think of the forest, the pool, the stones, the shade's scream, the echo's whispers, and know you've bound them, given Thornwick time. Tilda's wisdom, Cedric's trust, Elspeth's fire, the village's hope. They're woven into you, a strength as deep as the land you hunt. You climb onto your pallet, the straw crunching, the blanket heavy, and pull the thorn charm close, its prick a quiet promise. The fire pops, the night gentle outside, and sleep comes easy. The Blackmoor's hum a distant memory, its gaze a soft watch, not a call. You close your eyes, dreaming of open paths and steady tracks, the forest's secrets bound, and know deep in your bones that you're Rowan, hunter of Thornwick, keeper of the Blackmoor's peace. And whatever shadows stir next, you'll face them with the stubborn heart of a hunter and the strength of Thornwick at your side.